the Limerick City area and water quality and what's feeding into water quality. And I was told we have 10 minutes, so that's hopefully what I'll be. Okay, take that thing off there. Yeah. So I thought I'd put this one up because it reminds me of what my feet feel like right now. So if anybody wants to stand up and do a dance, this is the great freeze back in 2010. You remember we had a very long period. So basically what I'm going to talk about is this office. It's a new office. Some of you may have been at some of our meetings over the last year, 2017. It's called the Local Authority Waters and Communities Office. So what is this office and who's involved in it? And then, as I said, I'm going to talk a bit about water quality and a bit about what's happening in terms of addressing water quality. So there's a thing called a River Basin Management Plan. It's just about to be published. It'll run for the next 3 years. And within that, there are priority water bodies. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is swimming, because I thought tonight was also about swimming, so I'm going to talk a bit about that. So, LAWCO, or the Waters and Communities Office, and I've underlined 2 words, waters and communities. That's what it's about. It's about linking local communities, just like all of you who are here tonight, with their own local water bodies. It's a new office. It's a new shared service. So essentially it's run by 2 local authorities, Kilkenny. I'm employed by Kilkenny County Council, yet I'm here tonight, and Tipperary, and it's headquartered in Clonmel. And it has staff right throughout the country. And it's essentially about the implementation of the Water Framework Directive. And we might talk a little bit about the Water Framework Directive just now in a moment. But the Water Framework Directive is all about restoring good ecological status, so improving our water quality and protecting clean water. And it basically boils down to local authorities to ensure that, together with the EPA and also other bodies. So our role is to make sure communities are involved in that process. And our role is to make sure that agencies, state agencies, are working together. We are in the second cycle of the River Basin Management Plan. So we've had the first cycle, which ran to 2015, where, if you like, behind schedule with the second cycle. But within the first cycle, there was practically no community involvement, or very little community involvement. So to rectify that situation, this new office has been set up. And as I said, it's to achieve good ecological status in all our waters. So, the first line of the Water Framework Directive, and this is very important in light of what some of the other speakers have already talked about. It talks about that water is not an emergent product like any other, but rather a heritage which must be protected, defended, and treated as such. And Article 14 of the directive, basically, it ensures that member states seek the active involvement of everybody here in this room. So you're actively involved by showing your interest here tonight. Now, the Water Framework Directive, I'm not going to spend any more time on the Water Framework Directive, but it links lots of other pieces of legislation and lots of other directives at the EU level and at a national level. Will has talked about some of them in terms of SACs, SPAs and all that. But the 3 key ones that we might be concerned about here are drinking water, bathing water, and urban wastewater. They're some of the 3 factors, but there's lots of others. Floods, people talk about floods. We had major flooding in Limerick not so many years ago. The Birds and Habitats Directive. So they're all linked into the Water Framework Directive. Who's involved in water management? Everyone and anyone. And some of you will know about the long history of the Shannon and who's managing the Shannon and who's not managing the Shannon. Part of the job of the Waters and Communities Office is to ensure there is a degree of linkage between those. And to ensure better governance, because that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. Okay, the water body. It's not that person I'm going to talk about, it's this, the water body. Now you won't see this, well, the people at the front might see this, but the water body, if you like, it's got pressures on it. So discharges, abstractions, diffuse pollution, but it also supports a range of users. And again, in terms of urban areas, in terms of bathing water, in terms of drinking water. So these are the pressures, and these are the uses that we have out of water. A range of uses, a range of water body, of pressures. And then there's a whole range of characteristics, and Will talked about some of the characteristics in terms of what shapes the Shannon here in Limerick City. This is how we work, and this is a catchment approach. So the Shannon obviously is the largest river in Ireland. So what's happening up at the top end, whether it's the Pots, the Shannon Pots, or whether it's Fermanagh or wherever, what happens as it moves down through the system impacts on us down here in Limerick City. So every single activity that's going on impacts. We'll also talk about the neighbouring rivers. So for example, the Mulcair. What's happening in the upper reaches of the Mulcair with forestry, with farming, with wastewater treatment plants? It all impacts on the status of water quality. So that's the approach the Waters and Communities Office takes. It's to work with local authorities in coordinating water quality activities and to encourage public bodies to engage with communities and work with communities. Why? Because healthy water supports our health and well-being and supports our communities. And that's from an economic perspective. You've all seen the ads on RTE or on the TV, Board Bia, orange and green. That's all based on good water quality. Farming is all based, our biochemical industry is all based on water quality. So water quality is key to all of that. So the office is 12 staff people like myself. It's, as I said, it's headquarters in Clonmel. There's 3 regional coordinators and then support staff in Clonmel. As we speak, this office is about to be ramped up very significantly. So in the next 2 months, additional staff will be coming on board in Limerick, and they will be implementing the measures outlined in the River Basin Management Plan. So the office is going to go from 12 staff on the ground to hopefully 50 plus the 12 staff on the ground. So quite a significant increase in staff. This is myself. I cover a base here in Limerick, and I cover Clare, Limerick, and North Tip. So that's my operational area there, and hopefully with the new staff, it won't be as bad. It's a new approach. It's a collaborative approach. It's trying to set realistic targets for this next phase. But as I said, it's all about achieving good water quality, adopting this catchment approach. So we're going to talk a bit about the local water quality and what some of the impacts on water quality. But to assess and to develop the River Basin Management Plan, you need to look at the evidence. So there are all the various catchments. These are all the various catchments, and if we break those catchments down, we have 46 main catchments, we've almost 600 sub-catchments, and almost 5,000 individual water bodies that have been assessed and have been assessed over many, many years. And what's been looked at? So the current state of these almost 5,000 water bodies is that 45% of our rivers and 54% of our lakes are at less than good status. Not a great situation. What does that look like in reality on the ground? So 55% of our rivers, okay. Lakes, 45%. Fisheries and coastal areas, 37%. The good thing is almost all of our groundwater is at good status. It's on a Q value. Thanks very much. I hope this isn't vodka. It's on a Q value system. And very simply, the Q value system is Q1 to Q5. And simply put, we're going to go through a few maps now. So the blue is high stats, the most pristine, best of the best. Green is good, so you have to be either high or good to achieve good ecological status. Anything below that is not good enough. Okay? So the yellow is moderate, the brown is poor, and over here, the red is bad. So we look at what the situation is. Healthy water bodies benefiting our local communities, including swimmers. So this is the Shannon that we've talked about. That's the entirety of the catchment. This is the lower section of the Shannon. And when we talk about the Limerick City, so everywhere you see this red star is where we are tonight. But if you talk about the catchments in and around Limerick City, we're talking about Fergus, we're talking about the lower Shannon, the Mulcair, we're talking about the Meg, we're talking about the Field, and then obviously the estuary going out. In this catchment, these are the catchments that we're talking about, these are the sub-catchments that we're talking about. These are the actual water bodies. So there's a lot happening. There's an awful lot happening with the Shannon coming down and all the various water bodies feeding into it. So just to focus on the city, so this is Castleconnell, Shannon coming down, and if we look at the water bodies that feed into that, that's the extent of the water bodies. But this is where it gets interesting now when we look at the actual water body. So, in a general sense, for the wider catchments, you can see some spots of blue in East Clare, you can see some spots of blue in the Mulcair, some over in other catchments in Cork and places. A lot of green, a lot of good, that's very positive, but a lot of not so good as well, a lot of moderate and a lot of poor status. So we focus in on our immediate area here, on the estuary. So the upper Shannon estuary is classified as poor, and the Fergus estuary is classified as moderate. And then focusing in on the city itself, just on where we are tonight, you can see some of the streams that feed into Limerick City. And again, if we just focus in on the actual area where we are tonight, this is the water quality that we have in the immediate area. So the streams look like this. Some of the streams feed in from Clare, Blackwater. It's not very clear now. I'm sorry that the map hasn't come out as clear as I would like it to have been. But if we look at what the environmental pressures are that's delivering and impacting on that water quality, we have a range of environmental factors. We have primary discharge points. We have section 4 discharge points here, 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 here. So quite a range of section 4 discharges. And we have other licensed sites. Now, I haven't gone in, because of the time constraints, I haven't gone into the agricultural impacts and all of that, but they're impacting here. So, going from this situation to water bodies at risk. So, if you're classified as red, you're a water body at risk. What does that mean? You're at risk of not achieving good ecological status. So where anything has changed colour and gone to red, it's at risk of not reaching its water quality status. If it's green, that's good, continue on. If it's red, we need to put measures in place to address that. So again, these are the water bodies that are at risk feeding into the Shannon. This is not at risk. That's a choice. The actual estuary itself is at risk. And then in the wider, before I move on to that, within that plan then, individual water bodies have been identified for immediate attention. These are the water bodies in the wider area. So Broadford, the Groody, the Mulcair, the Camogue have been identified for immediate attention. So different pressures here, different pressures here, different pressures in different parts. Certainly agriculture, forestry, wind farms are a concern here. On the Groody, other issues are at play there. So these are bathing waters at a regional level, bathing waters at a local level. The interesting thing about the bathing waters, I'll go on to talk about blue flag beaches in a moment, but there's no blue flag beach or bathing area anywhere in County Limerick, either in the city or in the county. So some of you attended public meetings. We've got 120 public meetings and then follow-up public meetings just before Christmas. These were the issues that people raised at those public meetings on this new plan. The lack of awareness, sewage and urban runoff, lack of resources, lack of joined-up thinking, access was a big issue, governance was a big issue, silt and sediment and debris was a big issue, and then as Will talked about, that fantastic photograph of the development out in the floodplain out by UL, planning and development. So a lot of development, a lot of planning within floodplains. So they're just some of the issues raised, and they're very similar to the issues raised here in Limerick, both in the county and here in the city. So you and your local water body. This photograph was taken the morning of probably the most severe flooding in Limerick City back in January, February 2014 but you and your water body, so there's a wonderful resource here. I've been really inspired by Miriam, Gabrielle, with Will, and by Pat they're real, Trojan workers for the river. But we have a wonderful resource here. This is World's End. This is just here in the city. This was taken only a couple of weeks ago, actually the week before last, between week 5 and week 6. So we've a wonderful resource. This is down further down the estuary on the town side, by Henry on that side. This is just across the road, Westfields, on World Wetlands Day last Friday when I met one of my colleagues there. So there's a wonderful resource, and the special area of conservation, as Will said, runs all the way down to Blue Head. So I'm not going to talk about dolphins for a few seconds yet, but I'll come back and talk about dolphins just now in a moment. Bathing areas. So on the Shannon, as I said, there's no blue flag beaches in Limerick area, but there are 3 blue flag beaches just upstream, two in Clare and one in County Galway on the Shannon. In terms of blue flag beaches though, this is, I live in the Burren in North Clare, and this is a place that many of you will know. So if you can imagine, the photograph was taken from here, right? And we're just going to go back and look at where the photograph was taken, if I don't kill myself again. This is the very same photograph, and this is a coastal stream. So there are particular problems with coastal streams and with smaller streams coming into the likes of the Shannon, but also into coastal areas. So that's the coastal stream, and this is what the coastal stream looks like. First of all, there's 2 signs telling parents not to allow their children to bathe in the stream. And this is what the stream looks like. Clare County Council, please stay clear of this stream as the waters are not suitable for bathing. So that's the stream going down, and that's the water body that people swim in as the Blue Flag Beach. Warning, do not play, paddle or drink from the stream as it may cause illness. And then we look at what the stream contains. And there it is feeding down above. This is the same stream feeding down from above. And there's the same photograph again. And I come back to my favourite open water swimming places. This is Damien Dempsey. He was on the radio just the other day talking about having swam somewhere in Dublin, must have been North Dublin. But he's quite an inspiration to people who are taking up swimming, and that's the last part of what I want to talk about. The benefits of swimming. It's fun, it's invigorating, we know that, but it's hugely beneficial way beyond that. It's a boost to your immune system. It improves your circulation and your skin complexion. And this is not made up stuff, this is proven. You burn more calories swimming in open water, obviously, than you do in a pool, because your body is also fighting to stay warm. And I can testify to this. It helps with your mental health, with your well-being, with your levels of anxiety. I can testify to that. So the last thing I want to talk about, some of my favourite open water swimming places. World's End. I swam at World's End for the very first time only about 5 years ago. And I've been back many times, not in the winter, mind you. I've been back many times since. It's beyond compare how beautiful it is. The Scanner in North Clare, actually this side of the Scanner, not this side. West Kerry, including Brandon Pier, including this beach, Flower Beach, which I wouldn't recommend most of the year round, but it is a beautiful, beautiful beach. The very same day as I took the photographs of the coastal stream, these were the lifeguards swimming at Spanish Point, and it is a beautiful place. There's nothing more exhilarating than jumping off those rocks. Any lake in Connemara, especially after a long hike, and anywhere with this beautiful solitary dolphin. Some of you might know it. She's been hanging around North Clare, North and West Clare for the last, well, certainly I've been swimming for the last 14 years. She's also hanging out in the Innisheer these past number of years. She is, like when we talk about health and well-being and mental health, she is amazing to relieve any stress or anxiety. And finally, I would love to take up swimming to Limerick City. Perhaps not on a day like today, but I'd be very, very much interested in it. So to wrap up, the success of improving our water quality depends on public participation. Agencies, local authorities aren't going to do it without the involvement of the public. So better water management is dependent on real community activism, real community engagement. Successful projects like Limerick River Paths that Miriam has outlined, they are really driven from the bottom up. And obviously the benefits to the environment, to health, to well-being, and to the local economy. Our office, the Waters and Communities Office, is here to help communities with that. Be it small projects or larger projects, but that's what we're in existence to do. And there's some resources over there, but again, I didn't think we were going to have such a crowd. There's an amazing crowd here. There's a range of resources over there, but there's also two websites that I've mentioned quickly. That's our own website there, the Waters and Communities Office. But this is a website that I'd recommend anyone to have a look at. It's called catchments.ie. It's a new enough website. But all of those maps that I went through there, all the water quality maps are available on catchments.ie. And I'd certainly encourage you to drill down into your own local water body, drill down into your own local river, your lake or whatever, and see what's going on. And that's it. That's my own contact details. And as I said, I'm based here in Limerick City. So thank you very much.